The Jasper Library Board will forge ahead on negotiations for the former Hoosier Desk site. More on that, plus a group of DuBois County's young leaders are learning more about honing their skills, and Jasper Arts Director Kit Miracle is tonight's guest on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin with police taking a Huntingburg man into custody following an investigation into a battery that took place at a business. The investigation began at around 10:30 yesterday morning when Huntingburg police were called about an incident that happened outside of Casey's General Store. HPD says 21-year-old Dakota Monroe had pushed his girlfriend and grabbed her face during an altercation. Monroe had left by the time officers arrived. Officers went to Monroe's residence in the 200 block of North Van Buren Street to talk with him about the incident. When Monroe opened the door, officers immediately smelled burnt marijuana coming from inside, and Monroe appeared to be intoxicated. Officers asked Monroe to step outside the house. However, he refused and tried to shut the door on officers. Officers then tried to grab Monroe out of the doorway, but he began to pull away and resist. After a short struggle, police succeeded in taking Monroe into custody. After obtaining a search warrant, police found 4 marijuana smoking pipes with residue in them. Monroe was taken and booked into the DuBois County Security Center. He's charged with domestic battery, resisting law enforcement, and possession of paraphernalia. A new housing project in Huntingburg is continuing to move ahead. Last night, the Huntingburg City Council heard from Jane Hendrickson of Boxer Girl LLC about the ongoing Hunters Crossing subdivision effort. Now, several members of the city's Plan Commission went to Owensboro yesterday to see examples of the type of home that would be built in the Hunters Crossing subdivision. Mayor Denny Spinner says other members of the Plan Commission will make that trip to Owensboro next week. Spinner reiterated that there are a couple of key things that this project will accomplish for the city.
The quality of the home that's going to be part of this development is something that will meet the standards that we expect in Huntingburg and in DuBois County, and also it'll be at a price point that is affordable for the workforce. And that is the key item there, is that we need to meet that demand that our local industry has for workers, and we believe that we can play a big role in providing the housing stock that will draw the worker to DuBois County and meet the needs that we have here, keep our industry strong.
Now, the Hunters Crossing neighborhood will be in an area between 14th and 17th Streets and will feature 147 land plots of varying sizes for single-family workforce housing for purchase. City officials say more than 120 new homes will be built in that neighborhood. The goal will be to attract younger families, though the homes will be open to all ages and there will not be government subsidies. The price range of the homes will be between $125,000 and $185,000, with a median price of $145,000. Boxer Girl LLC will be heading up the development efforts, with Jago Homes of Owensboro serving as the exclusive builder. The Jasper Library Board is going to move ahead on its own ahead of a much-anticipated decision about its future site. Last night, the board decided to go ahead with negotiations with Ken and Paul Sternberg to find out what the asking price would be for the former Hoosier Desk building. Board President Dean Vonderheide pushed the idea of the library leading negotiations, pointing to the fact that waiting for the city is only going to create a bigger delay in coming to a decision. Vonderheide also pointed out that the city would need to get appraisals, whereas the library board would not, thus making the process go quicker. The City Council, Arts Commission, and Library Board are looking to hold a joint executive session during the first week of September for further discussion. Now, Ken and Paul Sternberg have owned the Hoosier Desk building for about 25 years. Ken Sternberg says seeing the building be used for the Jasper Cultural Center would be a dream come true. However, he says it has to work for everyone.
We lived in an apartment on a second floor in downtown Jasper at 4th and Main Streets, and I had free roam of the downtown when I was 3, 4, and 5 years old. So I love this downtown. I liked it here. We'd come down and meet Dad after work. I mean, it does have a history with us, but I mean, it needs to be a justifiable thing. If anybody uses this for the arts or the library, it needs to be justifiable, and engineers and people like that are the people that have to determine that and the cost of it. It has to be price justifiable.
Of course, the Jasper Library Board is pushing to have the future site issue as a referendum on the 2016 ballot. The board would likely have the Hoosier Desk and current site options on that ballot, as they will continue exploring costs of the current site in addition to their efforts at Hoosier Desk. In related business, the board continued their discussions of Dino tax credits. Those credits, which are available through the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, are specifically for the rehabilitation or repurposing of former industrial sites. Vonderheide says the board is applying for the Dino credits. The credits will likely cover a quarter of the project's cost if the library board is awarded them. Those credits could then be sold to another business entity who would use them as tax relief. The board is hoping to have an answer on the Dino credits by September 8th, and the library board's next meeting is September 12th at the Ferdinand Library. A popular History Channel TV show will be filming in southern Indiana next month. American Pickers will be traveling all across the state in search of interesting people and many interesting items. Now, the show follows Pickers Mike Wolf and Frank Fritz as they embark on a road trip across America in a search for the most valuable antiques. These can range from motorcycles, classic cars, and bicycles to one-of-a-kind vintage memorabilia. Now, American Pickers is looking for leads and would be interested in exploring anything that you may have. Items they look for include vintage bicycles, toys, unusual radios, movie memorabilia, advertising, military items, and folk art. Anyone who has a large collection of antique items or who may want to refer someone to Mike and Frank can send their name, number, address, and a short description to AmericanPickers@Cineflix.com. You can also call 1-855-OLD-RUST. New episodes of American Pickers air Wednesday evenings at 9 o'clock on the History Channel. And finally tonight, young leaders across DuBois County got another chance to hear from someone who's been in their shoes before. Yesterday afternoon, the DuBois County Emerging Leaders hosted a luncheon at the DuBois County Community Foundation. Finishing Touches owner Maureen Braun was the featured speaker. Braun touched on several topics related to leadership, including her own experience. Now, Braun returned to Jasper in the mid-1970s after graduating from Indiana University. She originally got involved with the Jasper Community Arts Commission before starting Finishing Touches in 1978 at the age of 24. Braun says she learned many of her lessons about leadership in the first few years after starting Finishing Touches.
In the early years, I learned to speak up, but I also learned how important it was to, handshake, be sincere, and really listen to people and be organized. Those were the most important things.
Of course, Finishing Touches is now a prominent business on the downtown Jasper Square and has been in business for nearly 40 years. Among the other leadership topics Braun touched on were her version of the 4 Ps. These are people, priorities, positive attitude, and pay it forward, pay it back. Braun says the key for young leaders to be successful is to find their passion. She says many youth are already in a great position to do just that.
They have the opportunity. There are so many more ways to get involved, whether you want to get involved, with a marathon and the money goes elsewhere, or there you can go online and find things, all the groups you want to join. Whereas in the years when we started, we didn't have anything to go online. You have to talk to people to find out what groups you wanted to join. So it's a lot easier, but it's a lot more choices for them. So they have to narrow it down.
Yesterday's event was the third of 4 major events this year for the DuBois County Emerging Leaders Group. The group's final event of 2015 is set for November. All right, coming up after the break, a sunny weekend is ahead, and Kit Miracle discusses Jasper Arts in tonight's Inform episode. We're back after this.